Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Drama Hospital Recap. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps. There wasn't an Olympics mishap, so I have the whole episode and an end scene. Go figure. So let's get right to it. At the Metro Court, Nina wakes up seemingly surprised. Maybe she thought she dreamed the whole thing up. And Valentine, or Theo, is still in the room. So I'm like, I know I'm supposed to really not like him, but I kind of like him a little bit in that whole, like, love to hate kind of way, you know? Or hate to love, more of a hate to love, you know what I mean? But we're not at love yet. We're not at that point in our relationship. So he won't be in town for long, and she says how she's going, like, kind of in reverse order. Like, first she had a husband, now then she had a boyfriend, and now she seems to have a friends with benefits type situation. I think even that's a little more elevated than what this is, because he's not really her friend. She doesn't know him. So outside her door is the newspaper with the headline, Port Charles Castaways, Local Couple Survives Ordeal. There's a knock at the door. It's Curtis. So she's like opening the door a little, and he's like pushes through and is like, I have stuff to tell you. And then he sees Valentine sitting on the bed putting his shoes on. So Nina hands Valentine the paper and is like, I just need to talk to him for a second. You know, read and have breakfast, do whatever you do. And goes out into the hallway with Curtis, and he, you know, gives her the information he has on the transplant, and she's like, you could have given this to me later, or I could have just printed it out. Like, why are you handing me papers? And he's like, all right, I have to admit it, I came to check on you. And he wanted to make sure she was okay. So Valentine sees the headline and is not happy, to say the least. Valentine comes out the door, and he's like, hey, I have to go, my timetable's been moved up, gotta do some things, bye. So Valentine forgot his phone, and Nina is like, we should return it or look through it to see if, you know, there's any names in it. And she hears the voicemail from Spencer. So Curtis sees that it's a burner phone, and they recognize Spencer's voice, so they know it's Nicholas's phone, because, you know, he's talking about father. And Curtis says that they need to get to the phone to the police right now. 1 second. Guess who's here? Guess who's here? It's Ika. Hello, Ika. Hello, I know, meow. Meow. Go spend time with your sister. Misha's right here. She woke Misha up. Can you believe that? Alright, Ika, go talk to your sister. Where was I? Okay, so at the PCPD, it's covered in press. Like, the press wants in, like, really bad. And Sunny comes in and asks about Dante, and Jason's still cuffed. Why wouldn't he be? So Jordan knows the Cassadine story because Sam filled her in, but she says the evidence doesn't support the story. And Dante and Lulu come in, and they're like, oh, it's 100% true. Trust us. So Sunny asks them both how they're doing, and he can tell Lulu's holding something back, but Dante covers. And Ava is giving her statement because, really, kitty cat? Because Sunny reluctantly asks about Ava, and they say Ava's giving her statement, and Dante says there's plenty of witnesses, including them. They don't need Ava's statement to prove Jason's innocence, because they can, like, there's enough witness testimony on their own that Nicholas died in Greece, and most assuredly not in Port Charles. So Jordan is going to go talk with Interpol about this whole thing, because it's a little incredible. And it is, to be quite honest with you. She hasn't, I guess, been in a soap opera long enough to just take this all at face value. So Sunny tells Lulu, really, Ecat? And, she wants Jason to stay around for leaving the jurisdiction. Gotta find a reason to keep him there, right? So Sunny tells Lulu, I mean, he legitimately did leave the jurisdiction. Like, there's a reason. I'm just being petty, that's all. So Sunny tells Lulu he's sorry for her loss, and she says someone else might not have made it off the island. So Lulu tells him about Luke's body, and Sunny doesn't want to jump to conclusions, and he's going to help get proof either way, you know? So Jason tells Sunny his suspicions about Valentine, and Sunny's going to head off to make sure the other Cassadines are safe, aka Spencer, because that's really the only other Cassadine at risk right here. So Jordan gets a hit from Interpol, and they identify him, and he's a person of interest in a lot of smuggling activities, and they think he's headed to Port Charles. So Jordan doesn't condone Jason going vigilante, but she's not going to lose sleep over the fact that he's going to walk on this. And she tells Curtis Curtis and Nina bring the phone in. At first Jordan's like, hey, I'm in the middle of something. So Curtis just plays the message, and I'm like, I like him. I like him taking, because if it's any other character, we would have had to wait till like next episode for this message to be played. But Curtis, he just does it, and I'm like, he's my favorite character right now. So Nina says that he said his name was Theo, and everyone who was on the island is like, OMG, OMG, OMG. At Camp Showbiz, we're not even halfway through this yet. Hold on to your hat. So at Camp Showbiz, Spencer is practicing. He has his trusty cell phone, and he knows Nicholas can't come. So he gets away with his cell phone again, and the camp counselor brings in a visitor, and it's Valentine. And Spencer is confused and scared because when they said it was family, first of all, the camp counselor goes, you have a visitor. He says he's family. And Spencer goes, okay, bring him in. And then he brings this stranger in, but leaves them alone. Like, we never see the counselor again. Let me tell you, when I babysit these kids, right? So the other day I went to pick them up from camp, and not only do you have to have a piece of paper in your car with the names and a specific number, but then there's also a separate password you have to give, specific to each, like each person has, each kid or whatever chooses their own password, so it's different for everybody. And there's like 3 people you have to talk to before you even get like into the camp and see, and you don't even leave your car, they bring you out. Well, I know this is a little different, like, because that's picking up and this is like someone going in, but I'm just saying, that's pretty lax security for a camp. That's like how camp was when I went to camp back in the early 2000s, late 90s, right? But now it's like you gotta scan your finger and get like an identification card and like have your retina scan, all that stuff. Okay, not that bad, but you know what I mean. So anyway, Spencer's never heard of Uncle Theo, and Theo says that Nicholas sent him to get Spencer, and I'm like, oh, girl, you're not playing that card, because that just makes me angry. Like, do not manipulate this child with his father. But like, I know he's gonna do that, but still, it makes me angry. So the Spencer wants to see identification. So Theo shows him his Cassadine tattoo, and Spencer's like, all right, checks out. And legit, like, I'm like, okay, that works for me. If you got a tattoo of like the person, like, I'm good. So Valentine wants to leave right now, and Spencer says he can't because the play isn't over and he's the lead. And Valentine's like, we don't have time for this. And I'm like, you monster, this poor child just wants to be the lead at drama camp. He has responsibilities. His father would never make him leave drama camp early. That should have been a huge red flag for Spencer. At Sunny's place, Morgan says he's not manic, and Kiki asks if he's on his meds. It's not that she doesn't trust him, she doesn't trust his disease, and she sees what it's done to him. So she wonders if loving each other is enough, and can they get over the disasters in their past. And she needs him to respect her, and he's not doing that. He's still in love with who she was, because he's like, we went to New York after not even meeting, and we got married, we did this with that, what happened to that person? And she's like, I grew up, we both did. And then he's like, is that why you fell for Dylan? And I'm like, ugh. So she says that her and Dylan were never really together, like they never, and she loves Morgan, but he's moving too fast, and they both have their own issues, and they're not spoiled rich kids anymore, and they need to start acting like who they are, which is 2 working people, adults. So Avery starts crying. Kiki says is gonna go take care of it, and she says that they'll talk later. And I had hope, and then the hope was drained from my body. So at Perks, Darby wants to talk to Dylan. He's like, I'm not ready for a relationship. And she's like, cool, that's not what I want to talk about. She tells him he needs to get tested for an STI. MG, it's fairly new and it's very treatable, but if untreated, it can lead to very serious things like cancer, infertility, or stuff like that. So after that little talk, he asks about Morgan, because he's concerned about his health, and Darby's like, I've been trying to call and he won't answer. And she feels like she's done everything on that front. If he won't answer her, that's his problem. She doesn't want to leave a voicemail, but I know you don't want to leave a voicemail, but if someone isn't answering your calls, you'll leave it in a voicemail. But she doesn't want to talk about this. She feels a little judged. And I think just the nature of the conversation, the person on that end would feel judged whether or not they're being judged or not. And she leaves to get her prescription. So Dylan reads up on MG. It was a very, the teachable moment. I really liked that part of the show where they like take real life things and like teach you things. Cat, stop. So I knocked the pirouette thing over. So Dylan tells Morgan to return. Okay, so Morgan comes to Perks, and Dylan tells Morgan to return to Darby's phone calls, and Morgan's like, why? And Dylan's like, because we may have an STI. At the hospital, Griffin and Claudette. Again, I knew this was coming, but I'm still like having a reaction. So she hugs him, and he lights up a little bit when he sees her, but then it's gone. Like as fast as it came, it went. And he says that they were a mistake and he regrets it, and she's not listening. So she thinks that they've been brought together and they rehashed the past, and apparently she fell in love with him, and he says that their affair made him sick, like he knew all the risks and he was sick every night over it, but she loved the idea of getting caught. And he's checking out her knee. He knows the camping trip injury, and he asks how this happened, and she didn't use the name of the person she was with, but like she says she got in a fight with someone, this, that, and the other thing. But he figures it out really fast, and he's like, oh, you're here for Nathan West. So she says her whole Crimson spiel, and he says, you know, Maxie and I are friends, and you know, she told me that Nathan disappeared last night, and he put 2 and 2 together. So he defends Maxie even when Claudette says she sent me up a Crimson, and Griffin's like, I'm sure she had a reason. And she told Griffin that she never loved Nathan. So what's her angle? So Griffin calls her a liar, she calls him a liar, and he says all she cares about is protecting herself. So I'm like, hey, she and Julian will get along great. So he tells her how to like help her knee, and then that they're done here. So also at the hospital, Nathan tells Maxie they should get married today, and Nathan says that they can get married now and have a big reception at a venue, and Maxie thinks he's overcompensating and asks what if more happened with Claudette. So Maxie tells him what Claudette told her. She says that he proposed when Maxie found out about Claudette in the first place, so she thinks this rush into marriage is because of Claudette. So he wants to make her feel more secure and jumpstart their life together. Maxie understands, and maybe there's a compromise. So today's not going to work, but what about next month? Why put it off? Also at the hospital, Dylan and Morgan are at the hospital talking, and Kiki comes in too. She's been called, and she's like, oh my god, did you guys fight? And then Darby comes around the corner, and she's like, no, you need to get tested because, and then she outlines their little triangle, which does not go over well. And now end scene. So Kiki's mad, understandably, and Darby tells them all to chill. Kiki storms off, and Darby's like, I'm the responsible one here, and she did do the responsible thing. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but it's the responsible thing to do. So Morgan tries to bright side this to Kiki, and he says that, you know, he sees what she's saying now, that they can't like pretend their past never happened, and she says she's not going anywhere, and you know, I'm like, really? I had such a hope in the beginning of this episode. And then Dylan rounds the corner, and as they're hugging, she looks at Dylan, and she's obviously so sad, and Morgan should see that. Like, he's not seeing it on purpose. So Claudette walks up to Nathan and Maxie kissing, and she's like, like it's any of her business. So Maxie tells her how they pushed up the day of their wedding, and Claudette's like, cool, I'm staying in Port Charles. Fun. So Nina identified Theo. She says that he said he was tying up loose ends with family. So Spencer decides to leave with Theo, and I'm like, no! And as Theo is rushing him out, someone comes up to the door, and it's Sunny, and I'm like, yes, 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 yes. I'm so happy. Alright, thank you so much for watching today's video. I will see you tomorrow for more General Hospital. I think on time, hopefully. And so for this week, we'll vote on Hero of the Week. Yes, we will vote on Hero of the Week. I think there's plenty of people that it could go to. So I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.